r/ask Reddit, people who have worked for the super wealthy, what stuff have you seen? Story 1. I briefly cleaned houses one summer, and these houses were insane. Some had elevators, some had stalls, and their master bedroom, one had a literal cave manufactured in the bathroom, with shower heads all throughout it. You could walk from one end and come out the other side of the bathroom, split by a massive hot tub. What struck me as odd, and almost every house, was the sense of disuse. They had grand pianos covered in dust, expensive lamps, and throw pillows with the tags still on them. Spiraling playrooms with every toy any child could want, totally devoid of playing children. The weirdest house I cleaned, though, wasn't huge and it wasn't gorgeous. It was pretty normal on the outside, but inside, whew, the entire house was filled with piles of clothes everywhere. I pulled aside my fellow cleaner and asked, with all the sincerity, how to clean this house. She told me to go around the piles as best you can. They had a mountain of clothes in the living room, like something out of a cartoon. Every couch had stacks of brand new clothes with tags on them. They were the only folded clothes anywhere. And the bedroom, it was the same. Smaller piles in every corner. Couldn't fully open or close doors around them. The kids' bathroom didn't even have a shower curtain. Best guess after cleaning that house as best we could is that they don't wash clothes. I think they just buy more and discard the dirty clothes into the piles. I think about that house a lot and wonder if they ever got their together. Edit to add. It was like metal bathroom stall cubicles, and the elevators and stalls did not seem related to accessibility. My apologies for my misunderstandings. Story 2. I used to work at a members-only golf/country club. There were members who had been actors, athletes, race car drivers, former CEO of Google, some major money and ego going on. There was one family that had 3 teenage kids, 2 girls and a boy. The mom and the girls were very attractive and knew it. They always looked amazing and had overly entitled attitudes to match. They were fancy. Well, the lady who washed the linens for the country club also did house cleaning for some members. This family was one of them. She said their multi-million-dollar home was a disaster filth zone. They basically did no housework in between having the cleaning lady there. Dishes piled with dried food that smelled, dirty clothes thrown everywhere, piles of crap all over, sticky floors, dog poop left on the floor. But the nastiest part was the bathroom. Ugh. She said they wouldn't empty their bathroom trashes, and the ladies of the house would throw their used tampon on top of overflowing trash, so she had to pick up their used women's products thrown on the floor, not even wrapped in paper. So these fancy beaches would walk around the club like they were so popular and look down on everyone, then would go home and act like wild apes, throwing trash and period products on the ground. The thought of being so out of touch that you decided it is beneath you to even be sanitary because you can just pay someone to do that for you is just beyond unsanitary and insane. Story 3. The CEO of the company I worked for was the founder's son. Not an unintelligent guy for the most part. His dad made him start with the most basic jobs in the company and work his way through the different departments. Managerial staff was ordered upon penalty of termination, not to treat him any differently than any new hire. So when he became CEO, he wasn't a bad guy to work with. Now, this is a company of over 10,000. One night, I'm working overtime on the late shift and we get this call. Hey, you guys got Letrian. The guy is clearly drunk. We have no idea who it is or why he's calling our maintenance/engineering group. We ask who he is, and he informs us lightheartedly he wants someone to take a ride to his house and figure out why the internet isn't working. This is an hour drive away. I volunteer. I was bored off my nut anyway. I get to the house. Entry gate is smashed. Section of the white horse fencing is gone. Jaguar is stuck in the field. Here in the house is dude, completely blasted. He's got a huge cut on his hairline. Are you okay, boss? I'm fine. Why? He asked. Blood literally caked on his face. I accompany him to the bathroom and help him clean himself up, wash off the gash, and put some bandaging on it. Then I corrected the internet. Unplugged, plug. As I'm walking out, he asked me to do a shot with him. I comment, worried about my job, that it might be a bad idea. He agrees and hands me the bottle. Take it home and do a shot later. Keep it. When I get back to work, I look the stuff up. Never heard of it. It's a $1,500 bottle of scotch. The next day, I'm at work early, about 11 in the morning. He comes walking up. We're not going to be talking about last night. I tell him it's all good. Awesome. A little bit later, I get an envelope. There's a check attached for quote, emergency tech support. $5,000. Story 4. Not the craziest thing, but wild to me. I was working for a kind of well-off family during a summer. I went inside to get a drink, and the mom was cleaning the kitchen, putting things away and such. She picks up a MacBook and says to me, "Hey, do you want this?" No one uses it. Got a brand new MacBook for college. Comment 1. My mom was a maid growing up, not for the hyper wealthy, but for the wealthy people. I got so much free stuff growing up because of them. It's insane. Clothes with tags on it, boxes of VHS. I know, I'm old. Game Boys, computers, whenever they upgraded. It was actually really nice because the people my mom worked for were very nice and generous. Story 5. This happened to me in college. I helped some rich people move, and they were like, "Hey, I don't think we're actually going to take this love seat. Do you want it?" I brought it to my parents' house to see if they wanted it. I was in a dorm, and my mom instantly recognized it as a real suede, handmade, roughly $4,000 love seat. She told me under no circumstances could I have it while I was in college, and that I would thank her later for it. A few years later, when I was moving abroad, I sold it on consignment for about $3,000. My mom was right. Story 6. My sister is a butler for a super wealthy family. She told me a couple crazy stories. The family once got this super expensive rare bred cat, and a few months later, the wife tells my sister she can feel the cat isn't quite happy in their house. So she asked her to take their private jet to drop the cat off in their mansion on Lake Como, Italy, so it could spend a holiday in the sun. That same woman would then sometimes berate my sister for buying soap and plastic dispensers instead of just soap bars because it's bad for our planet. They bought this insanely huge, super luxurious cabin in one of the most expensive ski stations in Switzerland. They realized the cabin, more like a mansion really, right next to theirs was for sale, and then bought that one as well, just so they wouldn't have close neighbors. Story 7. I'll change a few details to protect the innocent, but I used to give guitar lessons in a very rich area, and the company I worked for had a lot of celebrity and or just ridiculously rich clients. I saw in-home rivers, elevators, waterfalls, live-in chefs, 40-car garages, fully automated mansions that could change the season, indoors, etc. The thing that stood out most to me was the boredom of humanity. Like, one guy I became friends with had 17 off-road vehicles, a house bigger than his Lakers star neighbor, and his Chicago Bulls star neighbor for that matter, traveled to different extreme game competitions every weekend. But when I came over for the lesson, he just wanted to talk about Nirvana, watch TV, learn Pearl Jam bass riffs, and go to shows. The second thing that stood out to me was that the ratio of cool people to screwed up people seemed relatively the same between the super rich and the normies. There was one guy who wanted lessons with his very young son to connect with him, but only lasted 3 minutes every lesson before he had to take an important call or run off to an emergency board meeting. You could see the kid was in a giant playground of a mansion, but was just crushed. However, I also gave lessons to a family where the parents were two high-powered lawyers, one of whom is now running for Congress, and they were absolutely amazing to those kids. Always attentive, would drop calls from celebrity clients to fix a tricycle wheel, would lovingly enforce homework rules, etc. Great people. That was about the same ratio amongst my middle-class clients and amongst my poor clients. The last thing that stood out to me as the one really obvious advantage of being rich was the people's physical appearance. By and large, they were almost all very good looking people at any age, and most without surgery. It's actually kind of incredible what the body can do when you're able to always feed it healthy foods, live in chefs, exercise whenever you want in a variety of ways, with or without leaving your home. In mansion gyms, indoor, outdoor, multi-tiered waterfalls, pools, week-long skiing trips, personal trainers, etc. And the lack of daily grinding mental stress. I'm not saying they didn't have stress or they didn't work hard, but most did not have that existential stress about what might happen if they got fired because they didn't work the extra Saturday, or the stress of a boss breathing down your neck when you're at dead-end jobs just hoping for a living wage. There is something to be said for the mental benefit of hope and joy and inner calm, and unfortunately, money does help with those things, so I did see a large health benefit to people with loads of money also. And lastly, I don't believe any of these people were self-made. This type of wealth is not just working hard and climbing the corporate ladders using nothing but your bootstraps. This type of money is generational wealth with decades-long investment accounts from things set up by ancestors. I'm not saying they haven't worked hard, but turning 100 into 1,000 and turning 100 million into 110 million are two very different things, and the latter is inarguably easier from both a percentage and opportunity standpoint. Story 8. Worked as one of 4 full-time groundskeepers at a large estate, 46 acres of lawn to mow twice a week, 2 clay tennis courts, 3 pools, one for the main house and one for each of the 2 guest houses, 100 plus acre private lake with boat house. No clue how big the whole estate was, including the woods. Personal favorite was the 3-mile personal racetrack. But what really blew my mind was that he hosted his niece's wedding one summer, paid $350K to have this massive willow tree rocked in and planted by the lake for wedding photos, only to pay another $50K to have it removed and the landscaping returned to its original state after the wedding because he did not like how it looked. Thank you guys so much. Subscribe if you want. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. All I need you to do is have a nice day and peace.